Welcome to episode 1 of the Play Guitar Podcast. Today we talk about the ups and downs of learning guitar in 2018. Also, we have guitar news, making the band, and a whole lot more, so stay tuned. Welcome to the Play Guitar Podcast. It feels good to be here. Today, January 1st, 2018. So, Happy New Year, everybody. I'm super excited. Well, I'm excited to get past 2017. It wasn't the best of years, but hey, we're past it now. 2018, I've got all sorts of things planned. So many fun things for you that are just about to happen. I'm very excited about that. Like I said, last year I had a few health things going on, a lot of busy, boring stuff. But now I'm back to playing the guitar, doing guitar. I got some podcasts, I got YouTube videos and blog posts. Everything's coming out. So first off, what is this podcast about? This is a fun, informative podcast. It's straight out. This is for guitar players who want to get better. No matter whether you're a beginner or an advanced player, this is for you. How do you do that? How do you get better right out of the box? Well, surprisingly, if you're an advanced player or a beginner player, it's the same thing. If you've been playing guitar for a long time, you feel like you're in a rut. Go back to what you did when you first started playing. If advanced players put into practice what they did when they were first learning guitar, I'll bet you'd start advancing again. What did you do when you first started playing guitar? Well, every day you probably had a set time where you sat down and practiced. You know exactly what you're going to practice. You weren't looking around for all sorts of different things. And you felt like you were moving forward. So we're going to try to get the beginner guitar players practicing correctly. And we're going to try and get the intermediate and advanced guitar players back to practicing effectively. So that's some stuff we're going to help you out with here on the podcast. So let's talk about what we have in store for you. Each week we have a main topic. This topic is going to help explain either something on the guitar that challenges a lot of players or a tip that'll get you further along with the guitar, along the path where you want to go and make you get there faster. The next thing we're going to get is if I come across some cool ideas or a place, this would be a place to pass all those cool ideas along. The third thing we're going to talk about is stuff guitar players are already talking about. The new players, new gear, software, the tools to help us move forward, shows, all sorts of stuff. So stay tuned for that. Now we also have a bunch of interviews coming up. I've got some really cool ideas for some interviews. I think you're really going to like them. I'm not going to talk too much about those right now, but that's basically one of the new things coming up. Another thing is this year for 2018, one of the things that I'm wanting to do is I'm starting a new band, and I'm going to do it the right way. I'm going to start recording, writing songs, getting band members, and I'm going to just document the process week to week. What have I been doing? How close am I getting to getting this band up and running and out playing for everybody? And we're going to show each step of the way. Right now, what I'm doing is I'm writing right now. So I'm going to play you a little bit of what I'm writing later on so you can take a listen to that and you can kind of follow along. And if it's something that you're wanting to do, start a new band, maybe you can do it with me and let me know all about it. I've got a lot of new content coming out. This podcast is also going to be a place where we can dive into those topics a little bit further. It's some place where we can talk about them and kind of get deep with those things. So I'm going to also use this to further discuss topics from my YouTube videos and all of my blog posts. And the last thing this podcast is going to be, it's kind of a place for me to make sense of everything. I'm going to document everything that I'm doing. I've got a lot of content that I'm bringing to you, and it's not like therapy, but it's kind of like that. It's an organizational kind of thing for me. So it's going to be a place where I kind of boil everything down right here. Basically, with everything I do, this podcast is designed with a you can do it attitude. You can do it. I'm going to motivate you to move past what you're just comfortable playing and get into new and strange territories of guitar goodness. So that's what the podcast is going to be about each week. So what can you do to get involved? First of all, what you can do is subscribe to the podcast. You can go to iTunes or Stitcher or Google Play, whatever it is you use to listen to the podcast, and make sure you subscribe to the Play Guitar Podcast. That way you'll get it right when the episodes come out. Also, you can take a look at the show notes for this episode. That's Play Guitar Podcast /episode 1. Another thing you can do is follow me on Twitter. I've been doing Twitter a lot lately, and that's where I put out my own content, but I also put out tons of other posts and videos that I've handpicked that I think would be great for people who are trying to learn the guitar and get moving forward. It's also the best place to get in touch with me. My Twitter name is Play Guitar PDCST, Play Guitar Podcast. Couldn't do the whole word podcast because I ran out of letters, but it's Play Guitar Podcast. The next thing you can do to get involved is go on over to playguitaracademy.com. That's my future membership site for guitar lessons online. And I have a weekly newsletter that I send out, and it puts out everything that I've done throughout the week and information about the new Guitar Academy. But that's a great place if you just wanted something in your email that tells you all of the different things that are coming out that I've got. It's a good place to go. Also, you can follow Play Guitar Podcast on Facebook. I have plans for a Facebook group so we can talk about all this stuff. If you're interested in that, just let me know. I think I'm going to do it anyway. So we have got the Facebook group. What else can we do here? Let me find it in my notes. I'm also starting up later on this week on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Google+, and adding more as we go along. You can also subscribe to my YouTube page. That one's going to be Play Guitar Academy, and I'm going to have weekly videos for all levels of guitar. I think I'm going to start off with beginner guitar first and kind of work my way methodically up to intermediate and advanced guitar. So, like I said before, go to the show notes for easy links to all of this stuff. The URL for that is www.playguitarpodcast.com/episode 1. That's the number 1, episode 1. So with it being the new year, let's kind of look back to where we came from, where we are now, and where we're going. It's always a good idea to kind of take stock of how things are going. We're going to relate that to the guitar, but I just want to talk a little bit about the podcast and where I was and where I am now and how we're going to move forward. So where I was, well, about 3 years ago, I started the podcast. I recorded 2 episodes. All I wanted to do was have a podcast and then also teach online. Right as soon as I recorded that second podcast, my house sold and I made a big move across the country. So now I'm in a different area of the country. I'm down in Georgia now, and the town I moved into, it didn't have anyone teaching guitar. You know, you move to a new place, you want to kind of get part of the community. So I opened up a lesson studio a few days after I moved in here, and I started teaching, teaching in person with small group classes, which is my favorite way to teach. I taught for years one-on-one, and always had a problem with getting people feeling comfortable to get out there and start playing. You have these people who practice all the time. They're really coming along, playing, great players, and they never play out. And with small group classes, with just usually it's like 4 or 5 people in a class, you're learning along with others and people are hearing you practice. And it makes you feel a lot more comfortable for playing in front of folks. And it's been something that I was really struggling to teach with for years, trying to get people to feel comfortable to get out there and start playing. And it has happened ever since I started doing small group classes. all my students, we actually have a concert at the end of every 12 weeks, and they've been going great, and they're so much fun. And so it's been kind of a breakthrough in my teaching. So anyway, I opened up that lesson studio. It's called Lee's Lessons. And all of a sudden, everything got put on the back burner. I wasn't doing the podcast anymore. I wasn't, doing my online stuff. But finally, everything is, it's like a finely tuned machine now. I've got all the kinks out. All my lesson plans are done. We have our recitals. They're all finished. And my students are all awesome and they're doing great. And in fact, I'm going to bring a few of them on the show so we can talk about some of their successes. We got some really cool stuff going on there. But I'm finally comfortable with that lesson studio where it's doing so good that I can finally concentrate on one of my dreams, which is getting all this together. So I'm finally kicking off this week the podcast, the blog post, and my YouTube videos, one a week for the whole year. Also, my membership site is soon to follow. That's Play Guitar Academy, and my plan is to have a daily practice routine where I sit down with you in videos and MP3s, and I guide you through your daily practice routine. It's something I've been kind of working out with my students in my other class, and I'm excited. It's going to be awesome. So what are your goals for this new year, especially on guitar? Let me know what it is you want to achieve this year. Do you want to be able to play certain songs? Do you have something cool on the guitar you want to try? Do you want to start a band, record some songs? Let me know what your goals are on the guitar and how I could help you out with those. Just let me know on Twitter. That's the best place. Or you could actually come to the show notes page, which is playguitarpodcast.com/episode 1, and leave me a comment on the show notes page. Okay, so enough about that, all that intro information. Let's get into the main topic today. The main topic today is about learning guitar in 2018. What's the best way to learn, and what do we have available for us now that's different than we've had in the past? With all the resources available, learning guitar is supposed to be pretty easy now. We've got all the free YouTube videos. We've got the blog posts, lesson sites. We've got the video game style learning software programs, other software programs for tab and all that kind of stuff. Why is it that easy anymore? And in my perspective, being somebody who's been dealing with guitar players' problems, actually, I taught my first lesson in 1988. I've been able to see how things have progressed over the years. And the technology changes, but one thing hasn't changed. And that is that learning guitar is tough. It takes time and it takes focus. You're building a skill. It's a skill. And it's also an art form. And it's best built one step at a time. But there is something that has changed, I've noticed over the years. Learning guitar has become overwhelming. Back in the day, when I was first started teaching, most people would come to me for help, and they may have bought a book or a cheesy video, and they got frustrated. They were trying to play a F chord or something that's kind of tough when you first start playing. And they'd be frustrated, and they would come to me to get some help. And now it's a little different. Now, most of the people who come with me are like, I started playing 2 months ago, and they're trying to learn some really difficult thing that they want to play, like some Eruption or Yngwie Malmsteen, which, that's an exaggeration. But we have so many resources now, and it's kind of a la carte. You can kind of go on YouTube, and everything that you want to play is there. Someone's going to teach you how to do it. The problem is, guitar doesn't work that way. It's kind of like building a house. You have to start with the foundation and work your way up to that. If you start working on these songs or these techniques that are really advanced without having the fundamental information, you're going to get stuck. You're going to get kind of stuck in a ditch. So people are still frustrated, I guess is my point with all this. Have they always been? They're just a little bit more overwhelmed with these things. So that makes my job different a little bit. I have to kind of figure out what these folks have learned and then fix those problems, fill in all the foundational stuff that they've missed because they've been trying to do the stuff that they're not really ready for yet. Okay, well, what's the same about learning guitar now that has been in the past several decades? Well, there's still two types of players. There's the self-learner and then the people who go straight for the teacher. And I think they're both valid ways of playing. I did both. There was times when I was learning how to play where I just wanted a teacher to show me what to do. And there's other times where I was tired of that and I just was learning on my own to try and build my style. I think there's good benefits for each of those. So those are the things I think in 2018 that haven't changed so much. But let's talk about what's different. We touched on that a little bit. There's a lot of good, enticing information that can get you stuck, get you put in a ditch. I live in Georgia, and there's a lot of dirt back roads, and you see they're kind of built up in the middle where you stay on the road and they kind of slope off to the side. And once you go down that ditch, it goes down 5-6 feet, and you don't want to be in that ditch. You're not going to be able to get out. And if you start, learning some of these things and you're focused on, I'm definitely going to be able to play this lead guitar part, and you don't have the fundamental information for that, it's going to be tough. Let's see what else. There's lots of wrong information out there, especially with learning songs. No one screens things on the internet. Anybody can put up anything they want. It's really easy to get confused. I know a lot of tabs that you download for songs. A lot of that stuff is just wrong. And it's easy to get confused with that. So that's what's different too. You kind of have to pick which information is trusted, that you're not learning something that's incorrect. But most people are using like I said, the a la carte method of learning. We learn a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And whatever you're interested in at the time, and people's interests lately are all over the place, which is good, but it also slows down progress on the guitar. So what do? How do we get moving forward in 2018 with all the resources we have without getting overwhelmed and getting stuck? Well, first, we need a plan. And this is something that I can help you with. It's one of my plans on helping you with this. If you look at my Twitter page, I really like to find articles, whether it's my article or someone else's video, that all work together, that kind of build a foundation. So that's one thing you can kind of do. What I like to do is, if you find a teacher or a method that you like, stick with that for a while. Keep the blinders on. So if say Marty or Justin Guitar, if you're a beginner, or if you're advanced, Pepper Brown, or one of these great teachers that's online, stick with them for a while. Kind of see their process. Instead of just cherry picking one idea from it, take a look at everything that they're doing. They may have a really good workflow for you to build up the essential information you need to get moving forward. I know when I was growing up, I grew up right near where there were a lot of Amish farms and Amish folks that lived there, and you would see them on the roads with their buggies and the horses pulling them. And I always loved looking at the horses. They always looked down at the road. And the reason for that is they have blinders on. They have these little black things that were covering the side of their vision. They were focused on what they were doing. They were focused on the road moving forward. And I think that we could use that as guitar players in 2018. There's so much information out there. It's not doing us any good. It's overwhelming. So if you find a teacher like we talked about, stick with that one teacher for a while. See what they have to say. They might be able to take you from where you are to where you want to go in a much shorter amount of time than just being scattered in all over the place. The next thing we could do to use these resources effectively is we could set a practice routine at a certain time. A lot of what we're doing when we're learning the guitar is trying to get these things into our long-term memory so we don't have to think about it. You ever see a guitar player playing on stage, having fun, smiling, and they're playing this awesome lead, and you think, well, what do you think they're thinking about? Chances are they're not thinking about anything. They've done this stuff so many times that it's in their long-term memory. It's just effortless for them. It looks effortless because it is, because they've put the time in. They've done this stuff over and over and over again. They don't have to think. So how can we get there? How can we get to the point where we're playing all this fun, difficult stuff, and we don't have to, tax our brain trying to remember everything? Well, what we want to do is we want to set up a practice routine. And I'm not talking about 8 hours a day every day. I'm talking about short times, half hour, 45 minutes, even 20 minutes if that's all you have. But the key is doing it every day or most days. If you spend small amounts of time working on these things day after day after day after day, for some reason it gets to our long-term memory quicker. I've noticed in most of my students and my own playing too. So we want to set up a practice routine with the ideas that we're working with, small times at regular intervals. Also, the next thing I want to talk about is there is a difference between practicing and playing. And I think they're both important. I think playing guitar, just having fun noodling around on the guitar, is very important. It kind of, you build your own style that way. You kind of are having fun playing stuff that you want to do. And usually it sounds good. When people play, they want to play the things that sound good to them. They want to sound nice. But that doesn't necessarily move you forward. The problem is when you want to get better at the guitar, you need to work on things that you don't know how to do yet. And once you're working on those things, you'll notice pretty quickly that it doesn't sound good when you're working on things. If you look at guys like Jimmy Herring or any of these great guitar players that they just seem to keep getting better and better and better all the time, I guarantee you they're not at home or on the bus practicing the same old thing all the time. They're working on new things, and they probably don't sound very good while they're learning new stuff. We need to do the same thing. We need to have that time where we don't sound very good. We're working on things that are difficult. It's not always easy to do that. You're still listening to what you're playing, and nobody really wants to listen to bad stuff all the time. But if you can get into a routine of working on difficult things at one time, and then maybe later play some songs that you like or play the fun stuff later on. But you got to have that time where you're working on stuff that you're not very comfortable with. The more you do that, you'll find that after a couple weeks of working on the same thing day in and day out, it starts to get into your regular playing, the playing that's different than the practicing. So we're going to think of practicing as working on things we don't do well, and playing as the thing, working on things or having fun with songs and leads that we do well. The last thing that you should really try to implement in your playing in 2018 is to set long-term goals and work on the fundamentals to get you to those goals. Really try and figure out what it is that I need to work on. I want to play this style of music. What is it that I need to do to get to that point? Learning guitar, no matter what level you're at, it really boils down to these things. You need to know your rhythms. You need to know your chords. You need to know scales. You need to know how all those three things work together to play songs: rhythm, chords, and scales. And you need to listen. You need to be able to hear music, and you need to be able to listen to the other musicians who are playing along with you. That's it. Once you can get those things, work on those things on a daily basis, you're on the right path. So make sure you hit all of those points in your daily practice routine. Working on rhythm, working on chords, scales, how those all work together in songs, and work on listening. If you want an easy way to keep on track and move forward on the guitar, those are the things that I'm going to be working on at Play Guitar Academy. I have my early adopter list up there now at playguitaracademy.com, and that's the newsletter that I talked about before. Excuse me. My site's designed with using all these ideas to keep you focused and keep you on track. So to summarize what we've been talking about of playing and getting better on guitar in 2018, we have easy access to everything we need to get better at the guitar. But that's right there is the problem. Slow down. Ask yourself what you're missing in your playing. Find the resource that works best for you and spend some time with it. Say you find a video from someone that you like. Look for their other videos. Try and see the way they move forward. And the last thing is you need to make a plan. And I'd love to hear about your plan for 2018. So let me know on Twitter or let me know in the show notes, and I'd be really happy to discuss it with you. I want to now talk about my recent blog post. I'm doing I'm doing a series of articles on opening up the fretboard. These have come from my students who were trying to learn lead guitar and were having a hard time figuring it out and getting it around. Not just lead guitar, some rhythm guitar too. But I boiled it down to 5 parts. First is know how the fretboard works. The second is practice technique exercise over the whole fretboard. Number 3 is knowing your chords and arpeggios. Number 4 is knowing your scales and your scale patterns and why they work. And that one actually has been several blog posts dealing with that one subject. And then the last one is finding multiple ways of playing the same melody or song on the neck of the guitar. These are really essential points to get you past a common stumbling block. So I really would like for you to take a look at them right now. I'm gonna open them up right now and take a look at them with you. So here's my blog. First one I opened up was how do I learn guitar notes on the fretboard, and I talk a little bit about myself when I started playing when I was 12 and what was holding me back. I didn't understand how the guitar worked. We go through the alphabet of music. What are sharps and flats? What are the notes on a single string? Can one note have 2 names? Pretty much. We have a formula to remember the notes on the guitar, how the fretboard repeats itself, where the strings overlap. Let's see what else. We have some simple octave shapes that help unlock the fretboard. So you can know where the same note is across the fretboard. These are really fundamental things that you need to know about the neck of the guitar and about the guitar notes that you need. The next blog post I have is how to do guitar exercises that build speed and open up the fretboard. When I was first starting, I played these exercises, and then as I got in bands, I got away from them. I wish I'd stayed with them because they're really wonderful. They're great for your hand strength and your hand-eye coordination. They're great for your rhythm as well, but they're also really, you get used to playing all over the neck of the guitar, not just like some folks you see who play everything in one area. And we talked a little bit about, wrist and hand pain and those kind of things too. It's a really good article. If that's something that you're interested in, please check that out. It's called How to Do Guitar Exercises That Build Speed and Open Up the Fretboard. The third one I put out is How to Build Chords and Arpeggios. And this is all about understanding what chords are and how they work and where they come from. I talk a little bit about myself. I started and I didn't know how music worked. I didn't understand it. And where chords come from. How do you get those chords? What notes to use in chords? Why do chords sound good together? They come from scales. We have different degrees of the scales that give you the notes that you need for those chords. And it's simple stuff, but a lot of people miss this. A lot of people just don't understand it. So if you could give a look at my blog, How to Build Chords and Arpeggios, really would help you out. The last one, a few weeks ago, I started my guitar scale series. And this is called The Best Way to Learn Guitar Scales. And started that off talking about a 6-step plan. The first step is understanding how the fretboard's set up. The second one is understanding what scales are and how they're built. The third is knowing the best scales to learn for your style of music. Breaking those scales into manageable patterns is the next one. Start playing those patterns over the chords, making them match. And then the last one is sliding those patterns into different keys. And I've started that series up with this first blog post, The Best Way to Learn Guitar Scales. So I really recommend you go and take a look at that. If you're not understanding how scales work, or maybe you've learned one pattern, but you're kind of stuck in one area of the guitar, it's something that can really help you. So head on over to playguitarpodcast.com and take a look at these blog posts. Also have a video coming out this week that's actually all about what we're talking about today, how to learn guitar most effectively in 2018, how to use the resources that we have to get the best results. It'll be shorter than this, but I'm going to go into some specifics there that that might help you out a lot. So check that blog post out too. It'll be out this week. Okay, this next part is what's going on in guitar this first week of 2018. I do a lot of this on Twitter, but I thought it'd be fun to do here on the podcast. I'm going to go through some stuff that's going on today. First one is this is an article on Gibson.com. It's called Slash is appointed Gibson's global brand ambassador. I'll read a little bit about it here. Gibson has appointed Slash as its first ever global brand ambassador. As part of his new role with Gibson, Slash is developing new products with Gibson, Custom, Gibson, and Epiphone. They're thrilled to recognize Slash as Gibson's first global brand ambassador, and he embodies the characteristics of creativity, passion, and excellence that are so closely aligned with Gibson, and they're very proud of the friendship and mutual success they've shared together over 30 years. So Gibson needs some help. They've had a lot of bad press over the past 2 years. I don't know how their sales are going. I know a lot of guitar sales are down. So I think this was a smart move for them. Guns N' Roses is back, is really big, really popular now. And everybody has known Slash for a long time. Even when Guns N' Roses wasn't playing, all the Guitar Hero and all that kind of stuff, he was there. So it's really good to kind of put a face, for hard rock for Gibson and to bring that together. So I thought that was pretty cool. I wanted to bring that up. The next thing this is a article from prnewswire.com, and this is a sad one. Nikki Sixx announces plan to step down as the host of his syndicated radio program, 6th Sense with Nikki Sixx. I wanted to bring this up because I just found out about this show maybe 2 weeks ago. I guess because they started putting him on YouTube. It was the kind of thing that if I saw it at first, I'm like, Nikki Sixx, he's a bass player, and I'm probably not interested in that. But I watched an episode. He had Steve Vai on. It was awesome. Nikki Sixx is really down to earth guy, if you can believe that, and he's actually learning guitar and has a serious interest at learning guitar. And his interview with Steve Vai was just great. I watched the whole thing. I started watching a bunch of other stuff. In fact, Slash, who we just talked about before, was in the latest one, his last episode. So if you can, go back and check out a lot of the 6th Sense shows. They're all on YouTube. If you're into hard rock and blue, I think he's got Joe Bonamassa on one of them. They're really great shows, and I don't know what he's doing now, but he's definitely stepping down from there. I hope they continue this show some way because it was really cool. Okay, the next thing, this is on YouTube from Guitar World, and Steve Vai Guitar Method has come out. Episode 1 came out on December 29th. 2017, and I watched it and I thought it was awesome. I wanted to bring it to your attention. So go on to YouTube, type in the Steve Vai guitar method, and this first one he talks about kind of getting your head on straight to really getting better at the guitar. A lot of what we were talking about today. And I'm really interested in seeing all of these things come out. So thanks Guitar World for bringing that to us. Next thing we have is NAMM 2018 is coming, and it's coming on January 25th. I love this stuff. I went to a Nashville NAMM a long time ago and really enjoyed it. Haven't been able to come back since, but I love seeing all the new stuff, and I'm going to keep my eye open to find out what products are coming out to help us learn guitar better. So we'll be talking about that in the next few weeks as it gets closer. On Guitar World, there's an article that came out that Jimmy Page says previously unreleased Led Zeppelin material will see the light of day in 2018. The guitarist said that the new product would be arriving as a celebration of the band's 50th anniversary. So we have new Led Zeppelin coming out. So if you're a hard rock guy, and I like all styles of music, so I'm excited about this. Zeppelin was a big favorite of mine. So it's coming out in 2018. And it says, I'm trying to see, I don't see a date when it's going to come out. So coming out soon. So I'll keep you updated with that as I find out. Also from Guitar World, there's a new Django Reinhardt film. It opens in January in New York and Los Angeles. It focuses on the guitarist back in 1940, how he was in 1943. And let's see, it stars Rita Kateb as Reinhardt, and all the music in the film is performed by the Rosenberg Trio. That's going to be awesome. If you don't know about Django Reinhardt, I suggest you take a listen to him. You'll be blown away. Even if it's not a style of music that you're used to, it's some awesome stuff. So looking forward to that movie. Okay, let's see here. We got anything else? Oh, one last thing. Today, January 1st, 2018, they had the guitar drop on Beale Street in Memphis. So we finally got a guitar up there for our New Year's Eve celebrations. It looks to be some sort of a Gibson. It looks like, I don't know if it's a 335 or, I don't think it is. It doesn't have it has F holes, but it's definitely a Gibson design though. So they had a great big Gibson guitar come down for the guitar drop New Year's Eve in Memphis. Awesome stuff. So that's the end of our guitar news for today. Let's move on to one last thing. Okay, the last thing we're going to do today is making the band. I'm going to share with you what I'm doing working on getting songs together for this band that I want to start. I've been talking with several players about my vision of the band. I'm waiting to see who gets kind of excited about the direction I want to go. And what I'm doing is kind of what I did for when I wrote my junior senior recitals in college. I started with just 10 songs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I had no idea what they were going to be. And I just jotted down ideas for them, or the style or the type of song that I wanted to do. And I just started making ideas for each song to make a set. I'm doing it this time exactly like that for a 10-song CD. And I'm going to just record some small musical ideas. And over the next couple weeks, you'll hear me flesh each song out. I mean, they're going to sound really rough in the beginning, and by the end, they should sound great. Hopefully, we're going to work it on out. After that, I'll do the lyrics and the melody, and then I'll finish them out with demos after that. Then we'll try and come up with a name, get the players together, do some recording, and then we'll talk all about setting up the gigs and setting up the website and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, here's a few of the things I'm working on today. Here's the first example. So my idea with that was to come up with kind of like, I wanted to do a fast, like blues boogie thing, something that you could really play on. And And I don't know if that's what that is, but that's what I came up with. So I'm going to start working on that this week and fleshing that out. That'd be for my first song that I'm interested in. Now here's my second example. That second one is, I wanted to do like a New Orleans kind of groove, but something with some changes on it that I could do some playing over. And I haven't put any leads on these yet, but that's where I was coming from with that one. Like I said, these are rough, but we'll listen to them over the weeks, get better and better and better. And here's my last example. And that last one, all I had in mind is I wanted to do something over kind of like a slow Led Zeppelin type drum beat. And that's what I kind of came up with. And it's little like Led Zeppelin, I hear a little Steve Vai in there too. I don't know. But anyway, that's what I've come up with so far. Let me know what you think. These are rough. These are I've just played them in direct. There's no even reverb or anything on the guitar stuff. It's just some direct pedal straight in. It's not the finished result, but just to try to get some ideas. And maybe you could do something like that. Decide you're going to write 10 songs and maybe start getting some ideas down. That's what I'm doing. Anyway, that's it for the Play Guitar podcast today. I want to thank you all for joining me on my New Year's first episode. And very happy to be here with you. And make sure you subscribe to iTunes or wherever that you listen to your podcasts, to the Play Guitar Podcast. And also join us at the PGP community over at playguitarpodcast.com to stay current with all the cool stuff I have coming out. If you also would like to get on my early adopter list over at playguitaracademy.com, that'll let you know when the site's going to open up, get you a special early adopter pricing, and give you all the news about that. So anyway, thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.